This is episode 33 of the Hybrid Coaching Podcast. In this episode, we go over the 33% principle that JK presents, Zone 2 training we touch on, and then we talk about JK, who worked out with Tia Clair Toomey this week, as well as preview a little bit of the Hyrox finale of the first part of the season in Frankfurt and Melbourne, and the Deka World Championships happening this weekend. Let's make hybrid fitness work for you. How's it going today, JK?
Very good, thank you, Anthony. How are you?
I am good. Today, we are on the Hybrid Coaching Podcast. Welcome, everyone. I'm Anthony Parasini. That's James Kelly. We're going to today be talking a little bit about a principle JK brought up. He finds it as a hard, fast rule, the 33% principle by JK. We're going to dive a little bit into Zone 2. There's a lot of talk about Zone 2. Who needs it? What's it for? And then we got some other just like news and Hyrox and hybrid fitness world stuff going on. Some of the news, very excited. JK got to work out with Tia Clair Toomey and James Newburry, but
Yes.
nobody took any video. So did you guys even work out? Is it like when a tree falls in the forest, does it make a sound if no one's around? Like, does it even count?
Oh, mate, I knew you were going to say that. But also, I didn't want to get my phone up and record because I just wanted to respect them, right? So
Yeah.
I do think, though, just on this, right? I do think Shane took some videos, but they haven't released it yet. So
All right.
I'm hoping they do. I'm hoping they do.
We'll get into that because I'm excited to share that workout and what you did. We'll talk about my wife a little bit. If anybody doesn't know, my wife is the amazing Lauren Weeks. I think she's amazing, and we'll talk about her. And then the Deka World Championships is going on in Ocala, Florida, and Hyrox has its final weekend before their winter break. So that's what's on the docket today, and we'll jump right into it with JK. What is the 33% principle? And give us a little history, background on it.
Yeah, well, context. I thought when I messaged this to you a couple of days ago, Anthony, that you would have heard of it or knew of it, but I can't take credit for it. That's the first thing. And I'll give him credit. James Newbury. I was lucky enough to actually train with him and Tia the other day, but James and I have been mates for a couple of years now, and I remember him talking to me about this, the 33% rule with training, and it's pretty much as simple as this. 33% of your training and your days should feel good, should feel like solid and consistent, and you're feeling good about your training. 33% of the time should feel okay. You should be feeling okay about it. Not great, but not bad either. And then 33% of the time, you should actually feel bad. You shouldn't feel good. That's pretty much what he's saying. And when you can get to a point where you understand that, it's really powerful, because then you can just go, if you're not feeling great today, that is okay. It's one of these days. And it's more about getting it done and ticking it off than having to worry about feeling good. I think, and it's the reason why brought it up with yourself, Anthony, is because it's something that I've been thinking about lately. Is, I have days where I feel great and I feel, on top of the world training, and I could run all day and lift all day. I had a day last week that I felt terrible, absolutely terrible. But to me, in my head, I was just like, James, you just need to knuckle down, get it done. And that was the purpose of the day, right? So yeah, James Newbury, and he was more talking about when he was, obviously CrossFitting full time as well, which is obviously high volume and high load. So similar to what we do, right? So yeah, it's something that I've kind of been thinking about for a while. Do you? I don't know, Anthony. Do you agree with it, or do you understand that kind of thinking process?
Yeah, so I that makes sense. I mean, you're not going to have motivation to do it every day. Like you can just you'll have ups and downs in your life, you'll have hormonal changes, you'll have a lot of different things that affect the way you're feeling, that affect uh how you're performing, all of that. So doing, you know, when you feel good, use it. When you feel okay, like go out and like get the
Use
work
it.
done. And
Yeah,
when you feel like
yeah,
crap, like sometimes you can modulate your intensity. Sometimes like you can cut a workout or something, but as long as you are remember what we always talk about, consistency, right? The number one thing is if you're consistent, good days, bad days, whatever it is, be consistent, you'll always you like it's very steady incremental improvement.
yeah.
It's
It's
you're basically
yeah.
putting compound interest on yourself.
I would rather, Anthony, I would rather have good days consistently than a great day or a great week and then a not so good week, if that makes sense. I would rather have solid days, sometimes not feeling the best, but consistent day in, day out, than having a great day and then having a bad day, a great day, a bad day. So you're right, consistency. And Josh Kerr, is he the no, he's not the world is he the world record holder for the 1500 meter?
No, I don't know if he's world record holder. I think he took third at the Olympics or
Third at
second
the
at the Olympics,
Olympics.
right? Second or third. He beat
Correct.
Ingebrigtsen, and him and Ingebrigtsen
That's
have
right.
that
Yeah.
like
He
rivalry
said
kind of thing. But
he said in a podcast or something that I watched that his mentality is just consistency. It's never miss a day. Never miss a day. And I think, this concept aligns with that. It's just no matter what, it's just never miss a day. Be okay with good days, be okay with bad days as well.
so
Um,
what's interesting to me is I sent you some quotes earlier this week, and it was
mm,
the next day or the day after is uh, when you sent me the 33% rule you talked about.
yeah,
One of the quotes I sent you kind of highlights this, and that's the pathway to glory is rough, and many gloomy hours obscure it. Right?
yeah,
That's because not all the hours you put in are going to be 100%. So the pathway to glory is rough, and many gloomy hours obscure it. That was by Chief Black Hawk, Native American chief of the Sioux Indians, fought in the War of 1812 and the Black Hawk War of 1832.
wow. And then
The
your
second
second
quote,
quote that you sent me.
yeah,
Yeah,
the second quote I sent you was by Sun Tzu. Tactics without strategy is the noise before defeat. So
yeah,
that was just in relation, we can make all the plans we want, the tactics, the ideas behind it, but if we don't have a strategy of implementing them, that it doesn't matter, right?
yeah,
So
yeah.
tactic,
And sorry, who's Sun Tzu?
he's the guy that wrote The Art of War.
Art of War. Yeah, right. Yeah.
So
So yeah, those did align with kind of the 33% rule, right?
yeah, well, the first one did. Second one was more about like what we were talking about
Yeah,
at the time.
yeah, yeah.
Um, all right, so that's going into the 33% rule. Before we get into the news and the hybrid fitness scene, things that we're going to go over, what I want to talk about a little bit here is zone two training. Uh, Zone 2 training, what is it? Why? Right. This episode, we don't have a ton of time, so we're mostly just going to talk about what is Zone 2. But the question is, what does it do? Because there's been a thing in CrossFit that I've heard several of the training people are like, oh, you don't need Zone 2, you're doing too much. And it's like, really? No. But in Hyrox and everything, it's the basis. And what can it do for you? So we're going to talk a little bit about that, what Zone 2 is. So before I get into obviously my definitions here, JK, lead me in. What do we have for Zone 2 in your mind?
Uh, the first thing that I actually think about when zone two comes up is, to me, it's just a comfortable, easy effort. Um, at a sorry, comfortable, easy effort, long duration of time. That's the first thing that comes up in my head. It's funny because everyone's zone two, if you go scientific, is different, right? But when I look at it and how I coach, is a zone two run as an example, an hour to an hour and a half zone two run, right? Um, to me is building your foundational aerobic base, or sometimes I say platform, to make sure that you can actually, um, I guess, be as foundationally fit as possible in that aerobic base, so that um, you can always gain or increase that top end by building up your aerobic base. Um, Zone two, and I always say, okay, zone two slash, RPE 6.5 to 7. That's 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 the that's the same kind of concept to me. Is all right. Your zone two is whatever your zone two is. If we're going out for that hour to an hour and a half run, but ultimately it's the same principle as your RP of, around 6 to 6.5 to 7 in my eyes. And it's that, you've probably heard of the whole concept of, it's that talking pace, right? Where you can still have a conversation if you're running with someone, or if you're biking with. Um, so that's my, I guess, definition and lead into zone two. Anthony, what about you?
So I had planned to look up some papers on this, but as we'll probably tell you guys next week or the week after, I've been really busy with something, so we can get into that in a future episode. Stay tuned about why Anthony was so busy. But as far as what is Zone 2, Zone 2 is characterized. So Zone 2 is not Zone 1, right? Where would be a little bit lighter. Zone 2 training is characterized by I'm going to use this word, threshold. It's the place where there's a significant increase in anaerobic energy production. So in our past
Yep.
episode, right, we talked about whether you're working aerobically or anaerobically or at fat max or all this other stuff. So Zone 2 is where the first significant increase in anaerobic energy production occurs. Anaerobic is without oxygen, right? That's what we talked about before. So if you haven't yet, you should go back and listen to our lactate threshold episode. I believe it's 20, somewhere between 27 and 29, somewhere around there. Um, Everything before that point would be aerobic training. So everything before this anaerobic uptick is aerobic training. So it's 90 plus percent of your energy production to move your muscles, right? And whatever repetitive motion you're doing, or really any motion, whatever gets your heart rate or your body to move in that aerobic zone. It's the threshold or the place where you don't know. We have different definitions here for threshold, so I don't want to confuse everybody. It's the place where there is a first bump in anaerobic energy production. Um, there's basically, if you're trying to determine your zone two, there's a lot of ways you can do it. Like you can go get a VO2 max test and be like percentage wise. Not my favorite way, but your watch, if you have like a Garmin watch or something, they define it as 60 to 70% of your maximum heart rate, which is almost exactly what you said. You said RPE six, 6.5, 7, right? RPE out of 10 is basically the exact same thing, 60 to 70% of your maximum heart rate.
Right.
Um, it's also defined more colloquially as you're able to still talk while moving or while doing fitness. So if you can hold a conversation while running, that's about your zone two pace, right?
Yeah.
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 So
I'm gonna just. Oh, sorry. Are you defeating the purpose if you're not actually in that zone two? Sometimes I'll just give you an example, right, to work off. Sometimes I do my easy long run on a Monday, and I come back and I look at my whoop, my heart rate, and some of that run has been more so in around zone one. So my question is, okay, cool. Like if that's the case, am I still getting the benefits of what we are trying to get the benefits of zone two if I'm in zone one?
if the purpose, right, it depends on purpose and it depends on what you're looking at there. So some of that like you do is more impact loading. Can your physiological adaptations of your tendons and your muscles, can they take the impact load? So your heart rate response is not as uh, looked at, not as like
Right.
measured, because it, not that it doesn't matter, but it more so that like you want the impact load. Um,
Yeah.
we do strides, we do like short, fast stuff because for running economy, because you still need to practice it. Because when you're running in zone two, you're not running at your the the efficacy, the way that you would be running if you were running quickly, like you would be in the
Right.
race, right? It's a completely different form almost, but you're
Yeah.
still getting your body loaded up, and you're loading up your central nervous system, and you're being able to load up those tendons. So it's very beneficial, and zone one can accomplish very similar in that regard. Now, when we add the intensity to it, that's where it can modulate, right?
Mm.
So intensity could also be defined as like zone one versus your zone two. And what does it take to get you to zone two out of zone one? Um, so yeah, it's your talking zone. But why do we do zone two? Zone two allows, like we just talked about, impact loading allows you to be able to handle the stressors of the race, um, and allows you to be able to like feel that movement for not only the time duration of the race, but further more than the race itself.
Mm.
So it does all that, and it also builds. It helps to build over time. It takes a long, like these take a long time to develop, but it builds those capillaries to permeate more into your body and get further and more developed, right? So what does that do? Well, that can deliver blood to more places. Blood is like everything basically that drives us.
Mm.
So
Yeah. Yeah. Is there such thing as doing too much zone two? And I'll just use an example if you're a Hyrox athlete, right? If you're a Hyrox athlete, question is, oh, okay, so how much zone two work should I be doing versus how much other work should I be doing?
well, I mean, it highly depends. So obviously you don't want to do more zone two work if it's potentially going to cause an injury, right? Because if you just do massive amounts of it, but you're more likely to get injured when you're running faster. So the the percentage of it is like, most of the zone two work that we do, that we program, is 70% or more of the whole week.
Mm.
Uh, like, how often, JK, do I ever tell you, like, go as hard as you can on this?
Never.
Never. It is the basis of everything. get it in, and then when we need to add intensity, we add it little bits at a time.
little bits at a time. Yeah. Yep. Yep.
Cool. We will do a deeper dive into zone two. I'm sure we'll get some questions about this afterwards. We got questions on other things, and if you guys want more on zone two, we have a lot more we can share. But since we are pressed on time for this and we have other topics we want to cover, I wanted to get into that. So, speaking of zone two, um, I got real excited. So yesterday or Monday this week, which was 4 days ago, I was on the Hybrid Fitness live show and talking with Dave Claxton. And I asked anybody that maybe knew how to get my wife into this Black Canyon Ultras race, which is a 100-kilometer race. She was on the waiting list. It's a 100-kilometer ultra race, and if anybody knew how to get her in, contact me. We had somebody contact us, and she's in. So she is into this ultra race, which is, I'd say, sport adjacent, but not exactly sport adjacent. It's much longer. It'll be taking place in Arizona the weekend after the third major of the season in Las Vegas. So the third Hyrox major is in Las Vegas at the end of January, the first part of February, and the weekend after that is this 100-kilometer race. Um, and I'm just gonna say a little thing here. Lauren doesn't like to talk about herself, but I do. So I
And
like to
also,
brag about her.
yeah. First of all, if anyone can do a Hyrox major one weekend and then back it up and do a 100 kilometer ultra the next weekend, it's going to be Lauren. And I know I think have stated this on a podcast, but the reason why Anthony and I are working together is her because as an athlete and then as a person getting to know her last year at the majors, I reached out to Lauren because of her as a person more than anything. And as Anthony just said, it's to do with how humble she is. And Anthony, like, I know you yeah, you do like talking about her, and of course, right? But she probably tells you not to as much as possible. Where I've gone through this data though, right? Like just on that, like she's the three times world champion, three times North American champion of Hyrox, and then two times European champion. And then obviously holds, correct me if I'm wrong, Anthony, she holds the women's world record, but also the second fastest time as well.
Yep. So she ran
Um,
women's world record in Vienna and then the second fastest ever time in Amsterdam after the adjustment.
I think the most impressive thing about Lauren is her percentage of winning. Um, so Lauren, if you're listening to this, I don't apologize for talking about this because I don't think it's well known enough how dominant, full stop period, how dominant you have been in the Hyrox world.
Thanks, JK. Yeah, I I don't have well, I have a ton to add, but I'm not going to add any more than that. I think she's obviously amazing. I think she's the best championship racer of all time, and I don't see it being a contest. But that's me, and I'm very biased towards it. And
So just quickly, like she's racing in Vegas, and then literally 6 days or 7 days later, she'll be going to. So where is the
so,
ultra?
yeah, so this ultra race, it's a 100-kilometer race in the desert of Arizona. So it's about a 4-hour drive away from uh, Las Vegas. And what she's going to do is she will race on Friday in the Hyrox Elite 15. And then I believe it's either the following Saturday or Sunday. We'll drive down there and do this race. I get to be her team support. I'm very excited for that. I've
Nice.
already looked up
Yeah.
like the ultra, where the aid stations are, where like I'm gonna be driving ahead to meet her, kind of things that
Yeah,
I need.
cool.
Like I'm researching all this stuff, like what what do I need to have prepared for her at every stop and what can I do? And it looks like the aid stations are anywhere from 3 to 7 miles apart. So
Okay.
I'll be able
Yeah.
to see her about every 3 to 7 miles. There's like 9 of them over a 62-mile race or something. Maybe
Yeah.
maybe a few more than nine. Uh, but it looks like it, and it's mostly trail from what I've been seeing. It's like 55 of the 62 miles. So what is that, like 90 of the kilometers, or 90 out of the 100 kilometers
Australia.
is trail, like compacted dirt. And
Yep.
there's like two significant hills and stuff. So it's very interesting. I'm excited that we get to do it and just try this ultra race that's sport adjacent and going to be interesting. We're not changing anything. Like we're still training for Hyrox, so it'll be fun to do and go out there and get the experience.
Yeah,
And
definitely.
what's really cool is this is one of the series races and stuff, and so there'll be some like really strong elite people there that she'll like get to measure herself against, and it's a golden ticket race. So if you're top three, you win a spot to the Western States Ultra,
Wow.
which I believe is a 100-mile race. And
Yeah,
I,
it's one of the biggest of all time, isn't it? The
it's a,
Western
yeah,
States.
it's a huge, yeah, Western States is a big race, and I don't think the golden tickets roll down past fifth place if somebody else has already gotten it. So with the field that's going to be there, I bet you there few of them have already probably gotten their golden ticket too. So it's exciting, it's fun. I'm really pumped up for it. Like still pumped up for the Las Vegas Major. Um, Pumped up for the Ultra the weekend after. Like it's just going to be an all-around great time.
Yeah, that's
All right,
exciting for her.
before we get back into the hybrid fitness world with DecaFit and Hyrox, JK, you worked out with Tia Clair Toomey, 7-time fittest woman on earth in CrossFit.
Yeah,
Um,
yeah.
just
It was crazy. Absolutely
uh,
crazy.
you just take
Um,
me through it a little bit. Like, how is Tia? Tia, like personality wise, you got to hang out. Like, tell us about it. Her and Shane and
yeah,
everything. So,
yeah. I had about 4 hours with him, and to to answer like that question about personality, man, she's the most down to earth, Australian, very Australian, Aussie kind of larrikin. And I personally think you see that on her social and YouTube channel and stuff, but even more so in person. I got to have a coffee with herself and Shane and James Newbury, and then ended up going to work out with them in their barn, which they have up here on the Sunshine Coast, and their barn is at Tia's family house, and it's not just a little small. I don't know how big it was, but it was just my ultimate dream barn style like facility. It had everything, and then we got to work out, which was fantastic. I think the biggest thing that I'll say is that, as you just said, Anthony, she's the 7-time fittest female on
and she
earth.
took second the 2 years before that. So she went
Correct.
second,
Yeah.
second, won what, six in a row, then had a
Had
baby,
a year off.
had another win.
Yeah. And the way this has come about is because James and I are friendly, and James wanted to do a workout with James and Tia wanted to do a workout with me because they're doing Hyrox Melbourne on the weekend. And someone like her, like you'd think, okay, uh, I've done everything and anything when it comes to fitness. Hyrox, oh, it can't be that bad, and or sorry, not bad, but like I'm assuming she would have like just known a lot about Hyrox. She was like so inquisitive with me, like just wanting to know, and also like she had no ego about how she was going to race or um how she was going to crush it or anything. She honestly was just like back to square one, trying to figure it out herself. And that to me was the most important, like the most amazing thing about it. It was just like, no, she was just eager to learn about it, eager to learn about my training, eager to learn about what we do, Anthony, and it was just so fascinating. And Shane was exactly the same. As you guys who follow CrossFit and Tia, like Shane is the mastermind of her training and programming, but also the support network, right? And you can tell that I could tell that right from the get go on Wednesday. Um, we got to the barn and they pretty much said, "You've got the reins here." So Anthony and I were talking beforehand, like what we could do together, because I wanted to get some advice from Anthony, and I was going to we were going to do a workout that you programmed, but then I changed it slightly, and we did a workout which is pretty much like they did it together, and then I did it solo.
So
Um,
they were teammates, like they were running a Hyrox doubles basically, and you
yep,
were running a solo Hyrox specific workout.
correct. Um, and it was pretty much running running two stations at a time. And we did three rounds. Actually, yeah, just quickly, just specifically what we did, 3 rounds of 800-meter run, 500-meter ski, 50-meter walking lunge, weighted, 800-meter run, 40-meter burpee broad jump, 500-meter row.
And
Three
so
rounds of that.
3 rounds of that, they would run together every time, but they would split up the station work. And then
Correct.
and that's how they did the workout. You did it solo all the way through.
Correct. Yeah. Took about it was between I think it was 42 minutes. And I was very surprised. I took off and I think I got a lead of about a minute at a time. There was one point in the middle of the workout that I was probably about 45 to 60 seconds ahead by the end, and I thought that was going to grow. I thought, like just due to my endurance, I thought that was going to grow. Man, they came back, and I only got them by 10 to 15 seconds by the end.
So
Um,
I think this is absolutely amazing. I have so much respect for James Newburry and Tia Clair Toomey in terms of like how fit they are. But they're both such extremely fit athletes. If you've never watched the CrossFit Games where James Newberry just is like, "Hey, this is my workout," and goes and smashes one of the CrossFit Games workouts where you can just tell he spent himself on the bike. And if you want to hear him explain it, go listen to Hybrid Sport Media. JK,
yeah,
sister, they interviewed James Newberry. But those are two very fit individuals teaming up on a workout, and JK is doing it solo. And man, JK, I just want to applaud you because I think that's so impressive that you were able to stay ahead. And even if it's only 10 or 15 seconds, you're able to stay ahead and win a workout that, granted, it's your sport specific style. Uh, but that's so impressive.
thanks, man. But like, thanks, Anthony. Like, I guess from my end though, I was like, of course I'm going to win. It's my wheelhouse workout. Like, but also it was funny. Straight afterwards, Tia was like. Tia was great. She was very like um what's the right word? Like she like congratulated me, but not congratulated me. She was like, but still like, man, I still wanted to beat you. Like she's got this fire inside her that no matter what she's doing, apparently she needs to win, right? Which was like so cool to watch that like in person, right? So it was great. It was fantastic. And like um I was so I was so impressed with their stations. Like they ran really well. they were actually holding like a 350 to a 345, 345 to a 350 pace for those 800-meter runs, um, which was probably better than they expected as well. Anyway, but man, the way they were transitioning and
And
moving.
I just want to say real quick, you said a 330 to 345 or 345 to 350 pace for the 800s. You mean 345 per kilometer pace for the 800s. So
Yes,
they were running the 800s in about 3 minutes.
correct.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. Um, but then like just watching them burpee, even if like the burpee broad jump, like they probably like James has done them before in a race, and obviously he's probably done them a lot training, but Tia's probably haven't touched the burpee broad jump. Man, she was quick off the ground. She was just like hopping off the ground. So yeah, no, it was great. It was fantastic, and um, obviously they're racing on Sunday, Melbourne time, 2:10 p.m. This Sunday. Um, and look, like I know for a fact, just quickly, I know for a fact there's a couple of other mixed double teams that are going to be hard to beat, but I just got a feeling they're going to be very hard to beat, even though that Tia hasn't done one and James has dabbled in it. But yeah, it'll be very interesting. It'll be very interesting.
That's awesome. Um, I'm excited for that, which actually, let's just lead right into that. So this is the last weekend, this coming up weekend, what is it, the 14th and 15th. It is the last weekend of Hyrox of 2024. The season will pick up about 6 weeks later in late January of 2025, starting, I believe, in Manchester. And then the following weekend will be the major in Las Vegas. And I think there's another one or two races happening there as well. This race, I mean, it's shaping up to be such a powerful race uh,
Mm.
in terms of who's showing up to it. Real quick, I'm just going to go through the men I know are going to be in Frankfurt. And we'll
Yeah,
talk about Frankfurt first. I know that Hyrox Melbourne has the Elite 15 doubles, and we will get right into that too. But in Frankfurt, the men are Thomas Turdvik, who's, and I hope I said that right. He's 14 right now on the Elite 15 board to Las Vegas.
mm.
Sean Noble, who should be in 16, but he's not showing up yet. Uh,
Oh,
Tobias Lotvine, who's currently in 19, and Tobias is a three-time world podium finisher and a 2021 world champion. Um, Bo Wills, ranked 22nd right now. Eugenio Bianchi, ranked 25, and then some not ranked people who are very experienced high roxers and have previously ran elite in Martin Machilius and Florin Gast. So it's a pretty big race. You can tell it's definitely people going there looking to improve their time to either get in or this is the last
yeah.
chance before the Vegas major, basically. So they're trying to improve their times to get themselves in or give themselves a better shot to set them up for later the second half of the season. Some
Mm.
big names there. I'm not going to put you on the spot and ask you who's going to win. So Frankfurt, women, we'll just go through some of the women. Uh, just on the big board here, in terms of the women that are going to compete in Frankfurt that are already in or on the bubble of the Elite 15, you have numbers 12, 13, 14, 15, and 16, right?
Wow.
So Zara, Lena Putters, Jana Liebenstedt, Seka Arning, and Jade Skillen. Now they are all listed as starting. I don't know if Lena Putters is actually going to start. Uh,
Mm.
but I know that Chris Rogloski is, I think she's going over to race as well. And she just had a pretty good time coming second in Anaheim with like a 105. Also racing, number 25, Rebecca Nader, number 33, Simone Feld, 34, Sabrina Hahn, and 35, Beatrice Ardelt, 36,
Wow.
Magdalene Hubert. That's all on the start line, not to mention currently unranked 2019 Hyrox World Champion. That's the first Hyrox World Championships winner, Imke Salander. So,
Wow. So is she coming
but
back or
well, she ran a 70-minute race earlier this year. So
okay?
we'll see, what happens, but that's a huge field. Huge
Yeah,
field of
that's
women. Like
massive.
that's gonna be a great race to watch. So obviously you can see it's the everybody's trying to be like, I need to improve my time or secure their spot for Las Vegas.
You're not gonna give out your picks.
Well, if I give out my picks, they're highly biased, especially since the hybrid engine has three athletes running uh, out of that group. So,
Yeah, yeah,
so there's
yeah.
your one, there's
No,
your one, two, three in my mind.
one, two, and three. Yeah, yeah. No, that's exciting though, and really good way to obviously finish off the year, like especially over in Europe and the UK.
Yep.
From I just quickly, Anthony, from my end, obviously we've got Hyrox Melbourne to finish off the year down under here. I know for a fact there's a lot of athletes who are, I guess, trying to get another good time or cement themselves higher in the Elite 15 ranking. However, there's probably more who are doing the pro doubles to
So
qualify for the Elite
yeah,
15.
this is pretty exciting. So if you guys don't know, there is going to be Elite 15 Pro Doubles at Worlds this year, and Melbourne is the first qualifying race for it. So that means the top three doubles women's team, Pro Doubles women's, and Pro Doubles men's teams will qualify, not the mix. So mix does not have an Elite 15 yet, but the mixed race is where you're going to see Tia Clair Toomey and James Newberry racing. JK, I mean, maybe you don't know. I didn't recognize any of the doubles women's teams, so maybe if you have any info on them, is Joanna doing it? The doubles?
Joanna's not doing it. No,
Okay.
she's decided to race in singles pro on Saturday night.
Okay.
Yeah. And then she is racing mixed doubles on the Sunday.
Okay. So
Um,
yeah. So she'll look, I mean, she's already got the fastest qualifying time, and I don't see it getting any taken from her. So she's not at risk of being dropped out of the Elite 15, but it's a later race in the season, so it's better for next year if she has a fast race. I can see that
yeah,
being part of the
correct.
reason to run the pro. And
Yeah.
then also practice, and she's going to run the mixed doubles against Tia Claire and James Newberry. Who's her partner?
Adrian, I'm so sorry if you're listening to this, Adrian. I'm unsure about your last name. He has done a couple of pro races before, singles in a 1 hour and one or 1 hour and two. So he'll be a very good partner with Joanna.
Pretty
And
cool.
yeah, they'll be up against Tia and James.
That's awesome. On the pro men's side, I know there's some pretty good people racing, including Kieran Parkinson and Tony Ravel, who have been
Yep,
winning lots of doubles races over in Europe. I'm sure there's more that you know of, but I got like Tanguy Cruz and Daniel Payne, Chris Woolley and Tom Rogers, Alan Cow and Thomas Fry, James Newberry also doing the doubles men, and Bo
yep,
Williamson, Calliam Meehan and Gabe Heck, and Peter Mays and Tom Franson.
yeah,
You have anybody else
yeah.
to add
The
to that?
No, well, that's pretty much it, man. Like, I mean, the pro men race is gonna the doubles race is gonna be is exciting because there's three spots up for grab, and as you just said, Anthony, there's probably like seven, eight, or nine teams that could get them. So that's on Saturday night, Melbourne time. Um, so yeah, exciting weekend ahead
That's
with
awesome. And
also Deca World
yeah,
Deca World
so
Championships.
on Friday, so tomorrow, probably the same day this episode comes out, the Deka World Championships is going to go out. I don't have the list of people starting in front of me. I know my wife is doing the Deka Fit World Championships, so she'll be racing on Friday. That's the only one she's doing. But what's really cool about this event is that there's three different events. The Deka Fit, there's the Deka Mile, and there's the Deka Strong. Uh, what's really impressive are people who do multiples of these. So there's actually three women who are qualified to run in all three DECA events, fit, mile, and strong, in the elite
Wow.
category over the weekend. I'm sure there's a ton of people in the age group categories that have qualified for all three. But on the women's side, there's Tara Jackson, Katie Duke, and Janelle Teal. So
Wow.
Tara Jackson has actually gone every year and done the all three races at the World Championships. The first year she took first, third, first. Uh, Last year she was like I think second, first, and fifth. Uh, and then on the men's side, you have Colin Steefer and Cole Walkington who are qualified for all three. Uh, so those people have the opportunity to win the Triple Crown. And then
Mm.
a lot of people also who are qualified for all three in the team race as well.
That's exciting, mate. That's
So you
exciting.
you should be able to watch that if you have YouTube. It'll be, I believe, broadcast live on the OCR report. So go give them a watch, take a look. I don't have the times in front of me, but they are East Coast time. I believe the women around 11 a.m. East Coast time. Uh, which what is that for you, JK? That would be 9 a.m. for me, which would be 1 a.m. for you.
1 a.m. for me on Saturday. So that's on Friday, is it?
That'd be over in
Um,
Brisbane. That'd be 1 a.m.
yeah.
And yeah, 1 a.m. Saturday for you
Yeah.
in the UK, because as we've talked about before, we actually have a large UK audience. Did you know that the UK, we'll talk about this in the future episode, the UK took over the biggest country to listen to us, apparently.
Wow.
They
Wow,
have
that's
the biggest
exciting.
slice of the pie over America and over Australia.
Thank you,
About
UK
27% of
listeners.
our audience is from the UK.
Yeah,
So
that's cool.
the time in the UK for the women's race, which would be 11 a.m. on Friday, that turns out to be about 4 p.m. In London time. So
Right.
if you're ahead or
Right.
behind London time, you guys can figure that out, but about 4 p.m. So the afternoon time for them.
Yeah. Yeah. That's an exciting way to finish the year with a world championship in the hybrid space and then also the two Hyrox races to cap off the year.
So notable high rockstars that are going to be in that race, obviously, my wife Lauren Weeks, and on the men's side, Rylan will not be in the fit, but he'll be in the mile and the strong, and then Dylan Scott will be in the fit.
Okay, cool. Yeah. I'm sure they'll be ready to
There's
rumble,
there's
those
other
boys.
people that run high rocks in that because a lot of people cross over, but those are the two names off the top of my head that I can remember. So I'm sorry if I missed anybody else.
Yeah,
Uh,
awesome.
but all right, JK, let the people, everybody know where they can find you at.
Yes, guys, thanks for listening once again. We are going to be recording over the Christmas break as well, so stay tuned. Um, Please send us a message on Instagram, jk.jameskelly, if you want to find me there.
Yep. And you can find me at the Hybrid Engine on Instagram or at the Hybrid Engine on YouTube or have my own personal page, A Wild Parasini on Instagram. If you guys don't mind, if you could go rate or review the show on any platform streaming device that you are listening to, we'd really appreciate it. Otherwise, thank you very much, everyone. Have a great day and happy holidays.
Thanks, guys.
Thank you for listening to the Hybrid Coaching Podcast. If you have any questions you'd like your host to answer, or if you'd like to reach out and ask us any questions or inquire about training, please reach out to James Kelly on Instagram at jk.jameskelly. That's jk.jameskelly on Instagram. Or you can find him, Georgie Vesley and James Kelly, on YouTube. You can also find me, Anthony Parasini, at The Hybrid Engine on Instagram or The Hybrid Engine on YouTube. Thank you again for listening and have a great day.